Welcome back. Today's topic is Your Voice Matters. Build it through English. Let me start with a simple but powerful question. How many times have you had something important to say? Something intelligent, something meaningful, but you didn't say it because English stopped you? Not because you didn't understand, not because you didn't have ideas, but because your confidence disappeared the moment English entered the picture. That moment is familiar to millions of people around the world. You know the feeling. Your mind is clear in your own language. Your thoughts are sharp. Your opinions are strong. But in English, your voice feels smaller, slower, weaker. And slowly something painful happens. You stop raising your hand. You stop joining the conversation. You stop expressing who you really are. This is not an English problem. This is a voice problem because English is not just a language. English is a microphone. And right now, too many intelligent people are walking around with their microphone turned off. Here is the truth that schools don't teach you. Your voice matters before your English is perfect. Not after, not someday. Right now. The world does not need another silent thinker. It needs people who are willing to speak, even imperfectly. Think about this. How many opportunities have passed you by because you stayed quiet? How many moments did you let go because you were afraid of making a mistake? Mistakes disappear. Silence stays. Silence becomes a habit, and habits slowly become identity. When you stay silent long enough, you start believing something dangerous, that your ideas are not valuable enough to be heard. But that belief is false. Your ideas were valuable before English. They are still valuable with imperfect English. Most people learn English the wrong way. They are taught to wait. Wait until grammar is perfect. Wait until pronunciation improves. Wait until confidence magically appears. But confidence does not appear first. Confidence is built through use. Children don't wait to speak perfectly. They speak to become better. Immigrants don't wait to sound native. They speak to survive, to grow, to build a life. Leaders don't speak because they are flawless. They speak because they believe their voice deserves space. So why are you waiting? Because somewhere along the way you were taught that English is about being correct, not being understood. You were taught to fear mistakes, to feel embarrassed, to stay quiet if you're unsure. That teaching has muted your voice, and today that ends. This channel exists for one reason: to help you use English as your voice, not as a test. You are not here to impress anyone. You are here to express yourself. English is not a mask you wear. It is not a personality you borrow. English is a tool, and tools are meant to be used, not admired. In this series, you are not going to chase perfection. You are going to build courage. You are not going to memorize rules. You are going to practice expression. You are not going to sound like someone else. You are going to sound like you in English. And yes, you will make mistakes, but mistakes are not the enemy. Silence is. Every mistake means you tried. Every silence means you hid. And hiding slowly kills confidence. Let me say this clearly because you need to hear it. You do not need permission to speak English. You do not need approval. You do not need perfect sentences. You need one decision, the decision to use your voice, even when it shakes. Because the more you speak, the stronger it becomes. Your voice is not weak, it is unused, and unused muscles feel weak until you start using them. This is the beginning of that process. In the next segment, we will talk about something critical. Why confidence comes before fluency, not after. But for now, remember this. Your voice has been silent for too long, and starting today, we turn the microphone back on. Most English learners believe one simple thing. I'll speak confidently when my English becomes fluent. That belief sounds logical, but it's wrong. Fluency does not create confidence. Confidence creates fluency. This misunderstanding is the reason millions of people stay stuck for years. They keep learning, they keep watching videos, they keep listening to podcasts, but they don't speak. They are waiting for a feeling that never comes. Because confidence is not a reward, it is a starting point. Let's break this illusion. Fluency is not fast speech. Fluency is not advanced grammar. Fluency is not sounding like a native speaker. Fluency is flow. And flow only happens when fear's low. When fear is high, the brain locks up. It translates. It doubts, it panics. That's why you forget words you already know. That's why your sentences collapse midway. That's why your mind goes blank. Not because your English is bad, but because your confidence is missing. Think about this honestly. When you speak your native language, do you plan sentences perfectly? No. You speak while thinking. You correct yourself naturally. You pause without fear. That's fluency. But in English, you try to be perfect before speaking. That kills flow. Confident speakers do the opposite. They speak before they feel ready. They don't wait for permission from grammar. They don't wait for perfect pronunciation. They don't wait to feel calm. They speak, meinen des beentet, and confidence grows through action. Confidence is not a personality trait, it's a skill. And like all skills, it's built through repetition. Here's a powerful truth. You don't gain confidence by thinking about speaking. You gain confidence by speaking, even badly, even slowly, even with mistakes. Every time you speak and survive, your brain learns something important. I didn't die. I wasn't rejected. I can do this. That lesson is more powerful than any textbook. This is why children become fluent so fast. They don't care. They don't measure themselves. They don't judge every sentence. They don't fear embarrassment. They speak to communicate, not to perform. Adults lose that freedom. They become self-aware, self-critical, self-blocking. Confidence disappears when English becomes a performance instead of a tool. So let's change the frame. English is not a test. English is not a presentation. English is not an exam you must pass. English is a conversation, and conversations allow mistakes. People don't remember your grammar. They remember your message. They don't count your errors. They feel your intention. Most people listening to you are not judging you. They are waiting to understand you. Here's another hard truth. People who sound confident are not more correct. They are more comfortable being imperfect. That's it. They accept pauses, they accept corrections, they accept accents, they don't apologize for speaking, they don't say, sorry, my English is bad before every sentence. They own their voice. Confidence starts when you stop apologizing for existing in English. You don't need to earn the right to speak, you already have it. Now let's talk about something practical. How do you build confidence before fluency? You lower the pressure. You stop trying to impress. You stop trying to sound smart. You stop trying to sound native. Instead, you aim for one thing only: clarity. Can the other person understand you? If yes, you succeeded. Everything else is extra. Speak slower. Use simple words. Repeat if needed. That is not weakness, that is control. Fluent speakers choose simplicity. Insecure speakers hide behind complexity. Confidence grows when you realize this. Simple English spoken clearly is powerful. Complex English spoken nervously is fragile. Another important mindset shift. You are not behind. You are in process. Every confident speaker you admire once felt exactly like you do now. They were nervous, they hesitated, they made mistakes. The only difference, they didn't stop, they didn't wait for confidence, they acted first, and confidence followed. So here is your rule moving forward. Don't ask, am I fluent enough to speak? Ask, can I express one idea right now? One idea is enough. One sentence is enough. One attempt is enough. Confidence is built one small act at a time, not in big moments, but in quiet decisions. The decision to speak when your voice shakes, the decision to finish a sentence even if it's messy, the decision to continue even after a mistake. That is how fluent voices are born. In the next segment, we'll talk about a deep problem that holds many learners back: the feeling that English makes them fake, unnatural, or not themselves. We'll fix that. But for now, remember this: you don't become confident because you are fluent. You become fluent because you chose confidence first. Many English learners carry a quiet discomfort inside them. When they speak English, they don't feel like themselves. They feel smaller, more careful, less expressive. Some even say this: I don't feel natural in English. I feel fake when I speak. I sound like a different person. This feeling is very common and very misunderstood. English is not the problem. The problem is how you were taught to use it. Most learners are trained to imitate English, not express themselves through it. They copy accents, they memorize phrases, they repeat sentences that don't belong to their real personality. So when they speak, it feels like wearing a costume. But here's the truth you need to understand deeply. English is not meant to replace your identity. It is meant to amplify it. Your humor doesn't disappear in English. Your intelligence doesn't disappear. Your values don't disappear. They just haven't been practiced in English yet. Language doesn't create personality. It reveals it. If you're thoughtful in your native language, you will be thoughtful in English. If you are curious, you will be curious in English. If you are calm, direct, emotional, analytical, adelatlato, that carries over. but only if you allow it. The mistake many learners make is this: they try to sound correct instead of sounding honest. They choose sentences that feel safe, not true. They say what they think English expects, not what they actually think. That creates distance. Confidence grows when your language matches your thoughts. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone asks you for your opinion. Instead of giving your real opinion, you search for a good English sentence. You hesitate, you simplify too much, you hide complexity. Your voice feels weak because it's not your real voice. Now imagine this instead. You express your actual opinion in simple English. You don't worry about elegance, you focus on meaning. Suddenly, English feels more natural, not because your grammar improved, but because your thoughts arrived intact. English becomes powerful when it serves your mind, not controls it. Here's a critical mindset shift. You don't need advanced English to express deep ideas. You need clear thinking. Some of the most powerful speakers in the world use simple language. They speak slowly. They choose basic words. They repeat ideas, and people listen because the message is real. If English feels fake to you, it's because you're using borrowed sentences, sentences from textbooks, from movies, from teachers. Borrowed language creates borrowed confidence. Real confidence comes from personal language. Your task is not to sound impressive. Your task is to sound authentic. This is why copying native speakers too closely can actually hurt confidence. You're not trying to become them. You're trying to become yourself in English. Accent is not identity. Speed is not intelligence. Complexity is not confidence. Your accent tells a story. Your pauses show thought. Your simplicity shows clarity. Instead of asking, how would a native speaker say this? Ask, how would I say this, Nakers, in English? That question changes everything. Now let's talk about practice. If you want English to feel natural, you must practice expressing opinions, not repeating phrases. Talk about things you care about, react to ideas, disagree politely. Explain why you think something matters. Expression builds ownership. Ownership builds confidence. When English becomes your tool, not your cage, your voice grows. And something interesting happens. You stop feeling fake. You stop performing. You stop hiding. English starts to feel like a second window, not a second personality. In the next segment, we'll talk about one of the most underrated tools for building confidence: speaking alone. No pressure, no judgment, just your voice getting stronger. But for now, remember this: English is not a mask you wear. It is a microphone that makes your real voice louder, and your voice deserves to be heard. Most English learners believe they need someone else to practice speaking: a teacher, a partner, a native speaker, and when they don't have one, they stop practicing. This belief silently destroys confidence. Because the truth is this: you don't need another person to build your voice. You need consistent output. In fact, speaking alone is one of the most powerful and truest and safest ways to grow confidence in English. When you speak alone, there is no judgment, no interruption, no pressure to perform. Your brain relaxes, Your thoughts flow more freely, your voice gets space. Think of solo practice as a training ground. Athletes train before they compete, musicians practice before they perform. But English learners often try to perform without training. Then they feel weak and embarrassed. Solo speaking fixes this. When you speak alone, you are not trying to impress anyone. You are teaching your brain one simple thing. English is safe. Safety comes before confidence. If your brain feels threatened, it shuts down creativity. If it feels safe, expression opens. That's why solo practice works. Now let's be clear. Solo practice is not memorizing sentences. It is not reading aloud from a book. It is thinking out loud in English. You speak to organize your thoughts, not to sound perfect. Here are simple ways to do it. Talk about your day. Explain what you did and why. Describe a problem you're thinking about. Share an opinion about a video or article. Use simple language. Pause when needed. Correct yourself naturally. That correction is not failure. It's fluency training. When you speak alone, mistakes lose their power. You stop fearing them because no one reacts. And once fear disappears in private, confidence grows in public. Another powerful technique is narration. Narrate what you are doing. I'm making tea. I'm answering emails. I'm thinking about tomorrow. This may sound small, but it rewires your brain. You stop translating. You stop preparing. You start thinking directly in English. 5 minutes a day is enough, not 30, not 1 hour. Consistency beats intensity. 5 minutes every day trains your voice better than one long session per week. Why? Because confidence grows through familiarity. The more often your brain hears your English voice, the more normal it feels. At first, you may feel uncomfortable hearing yourself speak. That's normal. Many people avoid their own voice recordings. They cringe, they judge, but that discomfort is not weakness. It's unfamiliarity. And unfamiliarity disappears with repetition. Record yourself occasionally, not to judge, but to notice progress. You will hear improvement long before you feel it. Another important benefit of solo practice is freedom. You don't need permission. You don't need schedules. You don't need perfect conditions. You can practice anywhere, in your room, on a walk, in the car, while cooking. English becomes part of your life, not a separate subject. And when English enters daily life, confidence grows naturally. Let me be very clear about one thing. Silent learning does not build speaking confidence. Listening helps. Reading helps. But output builds voice. You don't become confident by understanding English. You become confident by using it, even when it feels awkward, even when sentences are simple. That awkward phase is not a problem. It's a bridge. Most learners quit on the bridge. They think, this feels uncomfortable. Something is wrong. But nothing is wrong. Growth feels uncomfortable. Stay on the bridge long enough, and confidence appears. In the next segment, we'll talk about a major barrier that keeps voices small, translation. How to stop translating and start thinking directly in English. But for now, remember this. You don't need an audience to build a strong voice. You need practice. And the safest place to practice is alone. In the last segment, we talked about the power of solo practice, how speaking alone removes pressure and helps your voice grow safely. Now we move to the next barrier that quietly destroys confidence: translation. Most English learners live inside a constant loop. Think in your native language, translate into English, check grammar, worry about mistakes, speak slowly, carefully, nervously. This loop feels normal, but it is the enemy of fluency. Translation makes your voice late. Your thoughts arrive on time. Your English arrives too late. And that delay creates hesitation, fear, and self-doubt. Here is the truth many learners don't want to hear. You cannot be confident while translating. Confidence requires speed. Translation slows everything down. That's why your English sounds weaker than your thoughts. Not because you lack ability, but because your brain is doing too much work. Think about how you speak your native language. You don't translate ideas. You don't build sentences consciously. You don't search for grammar. You think and speak at the same time. That's the state you're aiming for in English. And no, it does not require perfect English. It requires direct thinking. Many learners believe thinking in English is advanced, something that comes after years of study. That belief is wrong. Thinking in English starts with simple language. You don't begin by thinking about philosophy. You begin by thinking about reality. What you see, what you're doing, what you're feeling. When you say in your mind, "I am tired. I need water." I don't agree. This is interesting. That is thinking in English, not translating, not preparing, just naming reality. This is why narration from the previous segment matters so much. When you narrate your actions, you train your brain to connect meaning directly to English. No middle language, no delay. And here's something important. Your brain doesn't need perfect sentences to think. It needs usable ones. Many learners block themselves because they think, "This sentence is too simple. This sounds childish. This is not advanced English." But simplicity is not weakness. Simplicity is control. Fluent speakers simplify under pressure. Insecure speakers complicate. When you stop translating, your English becomes simpler. And that's good, because simple English flows. Complex English freezes. Let's talk about a dangerous habit. Some learners translate everything before speaking. They plan sentences in their head. They rehearse silently. They wait until it sounds perfect. By the time they're ready, the moment is gone. Confidence disappears. Instead, confident speakers do this. They start speaking and adjust while speaking. They pause, they correct, they restart. That is not failure, that is real fluency. Fluency is not speaking without mistakes. Fluency is moving forward despite them. To stop translating, you must allow imperfect sentences to exist. Your brain needs permission to speak roughly. Once that permission is given, speed increases, flow appears, confidence follows. Here's a practical shift you must make. Stop asking, "Is this sentence correct?" Start asking, "Is this sentence clear?" Clarity beats correctness in real communication. People understand meaning, not grammar charts. Another key point: translation keeps your voice trapped in the past because you're always reacting, never leading. When you think directly in English, your voice becomes faster, more present, more alive. Your opinions come out naturally. Your reactions feel real. English stops feeling like a school subject. It starts feeling like thinking. Now let's talk about patience. Thinking in English feels uncomfortable at first. Your thoughts feel slow. Your vocabulary feels limited. Your sentences feel small. That discomfort is normal. You are rewiring your brain. Just like building muscle, it feels weak before it feels strong. Most learners quit here. They say, "This feels unnatural. I'll go back to translating." But if you stay a little longer, something changes. Your brain adapts. English thoughts start appearing automatically. Not perfectly, but intestine, but naturally. That is the turning point. And once you cross it, confidence grows quickly. Let me say this clearly. You don't need to eliminate your native language. You just need to stop relying on it. Your native language is not the enemy. Dependency is. English becomes your voice when it becomes direct. Not filtered, not delayed, not judged. In the next segment, we will talk about something that scares almost everyone: mistakes. Why mistakes are not a problem, and why they are actually proof that your voice is getting stronger. But for now, remember this: translation slows your voice. Direct thinking frees it, and a free voice is a confident one. In the last segment, we talked about stopping translation and starting to think directly in English. When you do that, something unavoidable happens. You make mistakes. And for many learners, this is where confidence collapses. They hear a mistake and immediately judge themselves. They stop mid-sentence, they apologize, they withdraw. But here is the truth you need to understand clearly. Mistakes are not a sign of failure. They are a sign of use. You cannot use a language actively without making mistakes. Silence produces zero mistakes and zero progress. This is the difference between learners who grow and learners who stay stuck. Stuck learners try to avoid mistakes. Growing learners accept them. Mistakes mean you took a risk. Mistakes mean you expressed an idea. Mistakes mean your voice came out. And that matters more than correctness. Let's reframe mistakes properly. A mistake is not evidence that your English is bad. It is evidence that your English is alive. Dead languages don't make mistakes. Silent learners don't make mistakes. Only speakers do. Most fear around mistakes comes from childhood education. You were corrected publicly. You were marked wrong. You were made to feel embarrassed. So your brain learned this rule: don't speak unless you're sure. That rule may work in exams. It destroys confidence in real life. Real communication is messy. Native speakers interrupt to themselves, change tense mid-sentence, use wrong words, restart thoughts, but they keep going. That's the difference. They don't treat mistakes as danger signals. They treat them as normal movement. Confidence grows when you stop reacting emotionally to errors. When you make a mistake and continue speaking, your brain learns this is safe. I can survive this. That lesson is powerful. Every time you continue after a mistake, fear weakens. Every time you stop because of a mistake, fear strengthens. Now let's talk about correction. Correction is not your enemy, but overcorrection is. If someone corrects you and you learn from it, that's growth. If you correct yourself every sentence while speaking, that's paralysis. There is a time to speak and a time to refine. Speaking time is not grammar time. When you are speaking, your goal is flow, not perfection. You can review mistakes later. You can learn patterns later. But during speaking, you must keep moving forward. Forward movement builds voice strength. Another important truth: people don't remember your mistakes. They remember your confidence. They remember your message. They remember how you made them feel. Most listeners are focused on understanding, not judging. The fear of mistakes lives mostly inside your own head. Let's address something critical. Many learners apologize for their English before speaking. They say things like, "Sorry, my English is bad. Sorry for my mistakes." This habit quietly damages confidence. When you apologize before speaking, you lower your own value. You tell others to expect less. Instead, speak calmly. Let your English be what it is. You don't owe anyone an apology for learning. Your accent is not an apology. Your mistakes are not shame. They are part of your journey. Now, here's a powerful rule to remember. Your goal is not to make zero mistakes. Your goal is to make fewer pauses because of fear. Fear pauses hurt confidence. Thinking pauses are fine. Confident speakers pause to think, not because they're afraid. Mistakes disappear over time. Silence does not. If you wait until you stop making mistakes, you will wait forever. If you speak despite mistakes, improvement happens naturally. This is how children learn. This is how immigrants learn. This is how confident speakers are built, not through perfection, but through repetition. In the final segment, we will bring everything together. We will talk about your voice as it is now. Not someday, not after more study, but today. But for now, remember this. Mistakes are not a threat to your voice. They are proof that your voice is alive and growing stronger every time you use it. In the last segment, we talked about mistakes, not as problems, but as proof that your voice is alive. Now, we bring everything together because at this point, one truth should be clear. You are not waiting for your voice to arrive. Your voice is already here. It has always been here. The only thing missing was permission. Permission to speak before being perfect. Permission to sound simple. Permission to make mistakes without shame. And today, that permission becomes a decision. Let's look back at what you've learned. You learned that confidence comes before fluency, not after. You learned that English is not a mask, but an amplifier. You learned that solo practice builds safety. You learned that translation slows your voice. You learned that mistakes are not failure. Each of these lessons points to one idea. English is not something you pass. It is something you use. Too many learners treat English like a gate. I'll speak when I'm ready. I'll speak when I'm confident. I'll speak when I stop making mistakes. But readiness does not arrive by waiting. It arrives by using your voice anyway. Confidence is built in small moments. The moment you finish a sentence instead of stopping, the moment you continue after a mistake, the moment you choose clarity over perfection. Those moments may feel small, but they compound, and over time they create a voice that feels strong, natural, and yours. Here is something important you need to hear. You don't need advanced English to matter. Your ideas mattered before English. They matter now, and they will matter as your English grows. English does not give you value. It gives your value reach. It allows your thoughts to travel further, your opinions to reach more people, your presence to expand. That is why your voice matters. Not because English is powerful, but because you are. Let go of the idea that confidence looks loud. Confidence is calm. It is steady. It is willing to continue. Some of the most confident speakers speak slowly. They pause. They choose simple words. They are not rushing to impress. They are focused on being understood. That is the kind of confidence you are building. Not fake confidence, not borrowed confidence, real confidence built through use. Now let's talk about today. Not tomorrow, not next month. Today. Today you can speak one idea in English. Today you can narrate your thoughts for 5 minutes. Today you can allow one mistake and keep going. That is enough. You don't need to transform overnight. You need consistency. Your voice grows the same way muscles do, slowly, through repetition, through use. If you keep showing up, even imperfectly, something will change. One day you will notice that your voice doesn't shake as much, that sentences come faster, that silence doesn't control you anymore. And when that happens, you'll realize something important. You were never broken. You were just quiet. English didn't give you a voice. It helped you use the one you already had. So as we close this series, I want you to remember this. Your voice does not need permission. It does not need perfection. It does not need approval. It needs action. Speak today. Speak simply. Speak imperfectly, because your voice matters, and the world is better when it hears it.